I've always wanted to experience what it would be like to be chosen by someone and being chosen first. And, I've lived my entire life having good friends and good family. And, in theory, my parents chose me and they chose me first. So I guess I definitely have that kind of aspect of that experience. And I've had a lot of friends and a lot of very good friends, but I've never been someone's best friend and I've been their best friend. I've never been in a formal relationship where I was, chosen 100%. They decided to take the risk on me, right? I think there's a lot of components to being chosen. I think one of them is the singular nature in a lot of these kind of interactions of being chosen first. In a relationship, I'm excluding polyamorous relationships. If that's your thing, that's great. It's not my thing. It's not a thing but for most cases, it's one that when you choose someone, you are explicitly not choosing everyone else. And you are making that choice to only and fully choose this one person. And throughout my entire life, I've gotten close to being chosen, which is the most frustrating part. I'm sure that's better than not never even getting close. But there's this one almost relationship I was in over about a year ago. And it was something where it really almost had all the characteristics of a true relationship. I mean, it was even something where my mom would tell people in my life that, yeah, no, this is Connor's girlfriend, right? But I always had hesitation. And when I say it had all the characteristics of a relationship, I mean, we met each other's parents. We were at each other's houses. We went on trips together, texted all the time. And to my knowledge, it was exclusive. That was not formally defined. It was at least on my end. But it was always told to me that this was not a relationship. It was not formal. And so when people would tell me, well, you can just round up, right? I'd always say no. I'd say, one of my friends said, like, if it, walks like a duck and, looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then my friend, it is a duck. But I understand where people are coming from when they say that. But it was that it was explicitly defined not to be. It was, and what ended up happening was it kept on dragging on, and there was this period in time where it was almost like that was going to be when the choice was made, and the choice was made to pass. Well, it wasn't that we were to not, see each other ever again, but it was that I can't make a choice right now, which is, when you're making this choice, that is the equivalent to a no. And, most of my life has been a series of those experiences. That one was unique where it was, felt like the choice of no one or the choice of leaving choice open over the choice of choosing me. Bit of a tongue twister. I'm not trying to spam the word choice too much. There's also more recent experience that really, really rocked me. I'm doing fine now. It took me a lot longer to get over and process it than any other case before, which honestly was the spark to start this channel. I was going through so much rumination, so many thoughts. I was like, I need to get something out there. And this is my favorite. I have so many social media channels. If you want to know my other channels, look up Connor Pugs, like Pugs, like the dog. That is my main handles, millions of followers in those. This is like my secret side channel. And I made this channel because that was so difficult. It was so challenging because for the first time ever, I enjoyed, well, for the first time ever, and once again, it was not a relationship. It was not formal, right? But the level of detail and attention that was paid to me was unparalleled. I actually still have, and I'm probably not going to get rid of them, a lot of things that, she gave to me. And I don't look at those, well, maybe I still look at those with a little attachment, but we're not going to get into that. But it was the level of detail the level of detail, the attention that was paid to me from the conversations, the gifts, the events, the things that we did, where it was like so aligned with not only like my interests, but also things I had said. And if you're in other kind of almost relationships I've had before, it's been very surface level, attention, where it's like, someone's birthday's coming up, or you kind of know that they like this. But I mean, this was like laser focused and it was consistent. And unfortunately, in this situation, which was really challenging for me, I was someone else was chosen over me. And that was really hard because it gave me a glimpse of, it was almost like a taste of what the full experience would be to be chosen first. And to have that, not only satisfaction, but that comfort. I feel like one thing that I believe would unlock when you're the one who's like, when you get chosen by someone, there's almost this ability to really just like almost trust in a sense. And I think I made this analogy in a previous video of a trust fall, where you close your eyes, as the game you play as a kid, and you close your eyes or have a blindfold on, and someone would be behind you, and they're like, fall, and you would just have to fall, and you'd have to trust that they would catch you. And by the way, like I think about that game sometimes, and I'm like, if you just fell and someone let you fall, you can hit your head, you could die doing that. It's actually a lot more dangerous than you'd think. And I feel like while you can still be hesitant, I think that there are a lot of cases where people have been damaged in previous relationships where they've trusted someone and they've fallen and they didn't catch them, even if they didn't catch them 2 years down the line, maybe not right away. So I understand that you can still be, that can be a challenging process and you can be damaged during it. But I felt like I've really wanted to fall so much, and to just really be able to experience fully that kind of connection with someone, be able to give myself fully to them. And that's almost, it's a bit like a reflexive experience where what you give, you also receive, right? It's like it's almost like if you give someone a gift, the joy and the value that you receive from giving that gift is actually significantly larger on almost every case than when you receive a gift. And I feel like a lot of a relationship where you can fully fall into someone, it's all that you do for them is it's a lot of times it's reflexive. And sure, there's like parasitic relationships where one person is taking advantage of the other person. And those are more like outliers here. Maybe they're not outliers, but they're not the cases I'm talking about. Not this theoretical that I'm describing. And I feel like so many people, almost everyone, and this is what really gets me. And by the way, I read the comments and I read every comment. I just kind of have a rule. I've been on the internet for 10 years. I've gotten billions of views. Been a public figure in a sense. Internet famous, that means nothing, right? I kind of have a rule where it's like I can't really engage with the comments too much because I've got to be careful with that, but I do read them, by the way. It's actually very nice to see so many people of all different ages and gender and experience like coming out and kind of showing me support if I've seen this. And that's the beauty of YouTube's recommendation algorithm, is that it helps find kind of groups together like that. But at least in my personal life, what's really tangible to me, because I love the comments, but it's not as tangible as what you know and what you experience and what you feel in the people, right? Those interactions that are in front of you and in your life. Almost every single person, I say almost, just because I'm assuming there has to be someone I know where this doesn't fall into. I'm struggling to think of someone, so I'm saying almost, where it could be every person has been at least chosen fully once in their life, if not almost all the time. I feel like there's some people I know where they just can't stay out of a relationship, and it's like not even that they're looking for it. They just can't stop falling into people. And I don't think that's necessarily good. But what I'm saying is that it seems like every single person that I know has had the opportunity to do the trust fall. And it's a mix of sad, sadness that, I have not had that experience. It's definitely a mix of frustration of what is so wrong with me. And I know it's something where it's more complicated than that. I understand that there's so many factors, and that, if you roll a pair of dice, you can get snake eyes 6 times in a row. It doesn't necessarily mean the dice are wrong. It's just probability. This is how things go. But, there is frustration of what is wrong with me, because that is the root feeling I'll always feel. And I'm a little worried that, there's a lot of, it's not resentment. That's one thing that I've not felt. But this frustration, not hatred, such a strong word. So if I say self-hatred, that's not true. I actually think it's a weird mixture of, I feel very highly of myself, but I'm also very confused of how the world sees me because of these interactions that are so negative all the time. I don't know if anyone has felt this before, where it's like you have this very strong sense of self, but also very insecure sense of self that are not like, it's not like they're flipping on and off, and it's not like they're contradicting each other. Well, they do contradict each other, but they both exist simultaneously. It's very weird. And it would be something I would love to experience. Because at the end of the day, like, there's some people where they're wired in such a way where you just don't need a relationship. You can do things solo. There's some people where it's wired where you can just focus on your career, and that's okay. I believe this is not true for most people, and it's not true for me. Where to me, the most important thing in life, I believe, is to find a partner and start a family and have that, where does the trust fall go? It's like you're falling into building and developing the most important thing you'll ever build or develop and be a part of, right? And it's almost like, I hear all the time of like, everyone, like, a lot of people who are like, I don't want to have kids, and they have kids, and they're just like, this is the most important thing I've ever done. And I think it's almost, going to that kind of like reflexive, like the analogy I was using before, of like, when you have kids and you bring them into this world and you give them this experience and you see the world through them and all the things you give to them, expensive time, everything, it is that almost you receive more from a gift you give than a gift you receive. And that's the same way, that reflexive experience. So that is all to say that if you bring that all back, it all starts, all of that I really do desire and I would love. And it's sad, it feels like it's walled away from me. And I know it's not a strict wall, but it's like, it's almost a moving wall. It's an illusion. I'm a mirage in the desert. The water keeps on getting farther away. Maybe I hope it's there. But all of that comes down to this one point of being chosen.